In today's video, we're going to be talking about the drama surrounding Lethamyr's tournament, Flakes' replacement or possible replacement on Barcelona, as well as the Fusion Finals recap for North America. Before we get into all the topics, I actually had a little bit of an idea, and I'm curious to see if you guys like this, but what I think I'm going to start doing is from the previous video is I'm going to take one of the top comments, one that kind of sparks good discussion, and I'm going to display it somewhere down here. This one comes from Jordan, and unfortunately his grammar's a little bit weird, so I'm just going to summarize it. But he's basically saying that he thinks NRG needs to make a change to their play style in order to play with the current meta, and then brings up the fact that they're getting countered by a team like G2. NRG does have that current style of meta. They have someone like Justin who is very fast and very aggressive with the ability to slow down the pace if he needs to, while also being this high-flying, super aggressive playstyle. Quite honestly, Turbo is one of the best players in the world at learning to adapt and adjust, and he alone is part of the reason why NRG lost in Season 5 in London when Justin hit the goal. His ability to recognize that Fireburner was the one moving upfield and was kind of solo and single-handedly being the reason why they were getting goals was because he was able to transition out of offense with control. Turbo recognizes that, comes in, challenges, and punishes it. You have someone like Garrett who's a little bit more grounded, more of a facilitator on the field. He's not necessarily going to be the one that is constantly challenging and in your face. It's a bit more of controlled chaos with NRG. I think the biggest issue with NRG right now, more than anything, is they are unmotivated. The difficulty for someone like Garrett or Turbo that has been to every world championship or one half of them, or someone like Justin who has only seen excellence in his career, when you have an expectation to where nothing else matters but the world championship and there is no world championship, as these guys have admitted, it is a very large lack of motivation. And I think that's an issue. I just don't feel like that fire behind them is there because they are looking for the world championship title. They want to go back and defend their title, especially now that they've felt and for Garrett have been able to lift that trophy after so many years of trying. So I don't necessarily feel that it is NRG just needing to change the style or the meta, because they are still a very, very competitive team. They just look flat, and I think it's due to that lack of motivation that is behind them, because there's nothing to really play for in their mind. Yes, money is great. Yes, competitive play is great. But at the end of the day, it's about lifting the trophy for these guys. I speak for them personally. They care about winning the world championship. The RLCS is the only thing that matters, unless it is a really big tournament like E-League or IEM World Open, big prolific moments. Unfortunately, something like the Brawl, even though it is a $10,000 prize pool, just isn't going to cut it. As for the focus on countering by a team like G2, G2 is playing very well right now. I think a lot of that is due to their playstyle is more so less focused on the constant aggression, which is actually contradicting to what we're talking about in the meta, and more about spacing out. They do a good job of challenging, but it's smart challenges, and they spread the field really well, so no matter what happens, and this is what I think a lot of credit would go to for what we saw in Space Station actually in Fusion, which we'll talk about later, is their ability to spread the field and move across and actually get into a position to where if the ball does kick one way or the other or go across the field one way or another, someone is there to be there first. They have the ability to challenge, and that's what it is. It's more about spreading the field and positioning well rather than just nonstop aggression. It's smart challenging rather than challenging all the time. And I hope that makes sense. On to the Lethamyr drama, our first topic. This one's a little bit weird, so if you guys didn't notice, Lethamyr announced the Euro Cup, and with that, he also invited 4 teams to the Euro Cup. And this is where the drama kind of revolves around. In the Euro Cup, there's 4 teams invited: Dignitas, Vitality, Mouse Sports, and Barcelona. And the difficulty with this is a lot of people are getting frustrated because Mouse Sports, the team that Lethamyr coaches, is getting one of the invites. This basically devolved into people talking about it being a conflict of interest. Don't you have an issue with this? You're giving your team an advantage, etc. And Lethamyr's response was in line with saying, my intent was always to invite the top 4 RLCS regional teams. I can't even coach my team during this event, so if anything, we're at a disadvantage. No. This is where the problem kind of lies. I understand Lethamyr's frustration because I know he's doing this with best intentions, but when you add that little bit at the end that like, what, you think I'm doing this for the other reasons, blah, blah, blah. It's that little jab that's just, it gets people fired up. It strikes a nerve. He's had this tournament basically in the works for 3-4 months now, and has always planned to invite the best teams out of the RLCS. Things change and that happens, and from what Lethamyr has stated, he has said that these teams were already invited based upon performances in the RLCS. These are the teams that would have went to LAN, but because we had the spring series, this is a problem. From my own experience, I could say as a tournament organizer, you can't really do anything right perfectly. You're always going to be under critique. People are always going to be upset. People are always going to complain. You can put out as many rules as you want. Case in point, for the last Brawl Invitational, I put out very strict guidelines and rules. And again, people are like, we didn't sign up in time. Can you do this? Can you do that? And then I'm the bad guy because I've got to disqualify those teams. It happens all the time across all games, all tournaments. It's nonstop. People need to be held responsible. The tournament organizer can only do so much. I will say that because this was still in development, there needs to be things set in stone. And a lot of this, and this is something that I just assume Lethamyr does not have enough experience with it, is that shit changes. You have to update it all the time, and things go down to the last minute. It is very difficult to plan ahead in the esports demographic because things just aren't set in stone. They never really are. So again, I do put some blame on Lethamyr here. He should know that you need to have a little bit of recency bias when it comes to the seeding and who's invited. But I also understand his side of the argument, saying this has been invitations that I have already sent out. I expressed interest to make sure this was even a possible thing. I'm not going to retract those invites. Everybody has to start somewhere. People should be happy overall that Europe is getting another tournament, because more than anything, we hear the European region start to kind of get upset about where's the love for Europe? Why don't we get enough for Europe? And they finally get something, and of course, they get upset. Some of it rightfully so. So I digress. Both sides, things done wrong by Lethamyr, things done wrong by the community. Either way, I get it. Next things up is there has been talks of Flakes replacement for Barcelona. Obviously, if you guys haven't seen or haven't paid attention to the roster document, right now, Barcelona does not have a third. Right now, it's just Devo and Ronicky, and they've been kind of figuring out who it is. There's been a recent rumor and other ones that have been surfacing, and in this one, it is that not only has Noly from Singularity been trying out for Barcelona, but also Freakii from Veloce. Currently, we've been seeing Team Singularity try out Scrubkilla in FusionRL and in other tournaments. The reason why they're able to do that is one of their starters, Godsmilla, is still on the bench. He's still considered a starter, and if you guys don't know the starter rule, for the RLCS, in order to retain your spot, you must keep 2 out of 3 of your starting players, and a starter is classified as someone who plays at least 50% of the matches in the RLCS. So right now, the starting lineup for Singularity is Tho, Noly, and Godsmilla. Currently, Godsmilla is on the side, Scrubkilla is playing. Now, if this does end up being true and Noly was to go to the Barcelona squad, that means that Godsmilla would have to stay on the team with Tho, and then they could find a third like Scrubkilla to fill out the roster so they could keep their spot in the RLCS. As for Veloce, we've been seeing them experiment a lot with Archie. If you guys don't know, Archie played for the Clappers, played really well. I've compared him to Mist. Very talented player, can fit and slot into just about any team. I think he's a pretty hot free agent. A lot of people should be happy to go after him, as that team is pretty much disbanding from the looks of it because people are just plucking those players out of thin air. As for Veloce, they've tried numerous rosters. They've played with Archie, Flame, and Cassio. Now they're playing apparently with Freakii, Flame, and Archie. They're kind of just mixing around and seeing what's working. The thing I want to emphasize, and I normally don't talk about these things, said in the past that you need to understand, and you're going to see in this image right above me, it says rumor at the top, and people need to understand that. Even though these messages and these roster rumors are coming out, people are taking them for fact, and I would be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't talk about it, talk about the viability of it, but still express it is a rumor. Nothing of this is confirmed publicly. Neither Barcelona, nor Singularity, nor Veloce has said these things. None of the players have publicly said these things. They are not coming from the source or the horse's mouth itself. People need to understand these are rumors. We can still speculate and talk about how successful the roster may be, what this could do, how it could conclude, but people need to understand, again, it is speculation, it is a rumor, it is not fact. If Freakii was to go to Barcelona, I don't foresee it doing any good. As much as I like Freakii as a ability to finish, that team really needs someone who's going to take a leadership role and take a charge. I think Scrubkilla would actually be really good on that roster. They need someone that is going to spearhead the attack, someone that is going to be in your face and lead the charge. And quite honestly, from what we saw with Scrub over on Mouse, he'd be perfect fit for it. He's going to add some veteran experience. He's very talented, has the ability to win challenges and create opportunities. It's going to make Devo very confident. And Ronicky can continue to be the consistent cleanup role as he has done for Barcelona all last season. So again, maybe Scrub goes there instead and they stick with Godsmiller over on Singularity. Possible theory. And last but not least, Fusion North America Grand Finals all wrapped up. We've got our standings, we've got our winners. And to toot my own horn a little bit, we got predictions 100%. We crushed it. But in the first game, 3v3 between Space Station versus Envy, it was a nail biter, going all the way to the distance, all the way to Game 7. Game 7 we'll talk about last because that was something, but everything between that. Game 1 through 6 was back and forth. Envy versus Space Station battling, changing up play styles, trying to adapt and learn each other, and just try to get a foothold on what this game was supposed to be. Some of the game was Sypical and Arsenal just dominating. Some of it was AXB moving up onto offense and being impactful. Two constants that happened. Sypical was a god, super insane. But the difference between Envy is I expected Reddles to be way more impactful, but he wasn't. It was Mist who stole my heart in this one. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of Mist and his playstyle. Very methodical, very smart as a player. But he played a little bit differently. Way more aggressive, in the face, scored the most goals on his team. Like, his impact in that game was so felt. And again, it shows what players that are methodical and make decisions when they're supposed to happen, what they can do on the field. So again, Mist, you played very well. I think Envy is trending in the right direction, and kudos to you, my man. This whole series felt like it was going to go one way or the other. It was a true coin toss, and Envy showed us that they are capable from being a top 3 team in North America, which I fucking love. I've been talking about the rivalry between Rogue and Envy. Rogue didn't live up to their end of the half, but Envy has been playing extremely well with Reddles. People have been calling him Rentals because he is on loan, according to Mist. But again, I think this team has a lot of potential. I really hope they keep Reddles because this is a team that can push boundaries. The difficulty I have with trying to summarize the series is it is a go back and watch for sure. Absolutely must have. If you go to Liquipedia and click on the little info icon, it has all the numbers. You can just click on it and it'll start playing. It was back and forth, but then we get to Game 7. And Space Station wins 7-0. They just kept scoring goals. And they would have scored one more for Brazil on their own net, but Envy decided to defend it. So, again, the game was super close, comes down to the wire, and then they just let the floodgates open. So, I don't know what made it so close to where then Envy was just like, we can't do anything, but Arsenal's 50-50s, Sypical's follow-up. I think Sypical had like 4 goals on 5 shots or 5 goals on 6 shots, something insane, but again, just typical best player in North America. It is followed up by a fantastic support roles. AXB bides time. When he moves up on offense and he's confident, they look even better. Arsenal will bump, demo, challenge, create opportunities, be there for Sypical to support. Like, it is such a well-rounded team. I've said this publicly before. I am super envious, no pun intended, on the team that they just played of Chrome, because he gets to coach a very talented roster full of guys that are very hungry to play this game. So again, hats off to Space Station. They've been making good moves with the content creator side, but the team continues to impress. Not a whole lot to talk about in the 2v2s. It was just Sypical and Arsenal winning everything. Challenges, bumps, demos, goals. Like, they just overwhelmed Affinity. Last but not least, we had the 1v1 between Rogue and Lionblaze, and this one was what ones is all about. Lionblaze would take some, First Killer would take the others, and it was just that chess match that I've discussed. I want to see these players adapt, and you actually saw Lionblaze starting to take on this play style that I hadn't seen him play with before, where he is getting a little bit more bump heavy. He is taking some things from First Killer where that play style, he recognizes the benefits and he knows he can punish the other player with it. And the same thing for First Killer, a lot more air dribbles and air bumps and going for the high flying stuff, going for fakes. I mean, there was times where, and hopefully these highlights show it, where he would jump up, boost backwards to create space, and then sometimes he just wouldn't even go for it. This time he goes low, next time he goes high, and it's just like, this is what makes one so exciting. So again, if you have to watch the semifinals or the grand finals or whatever matches you want, go check out the 3v3 and the 1v1 grand finals for sure if you want to see Affinity get dragged through the mud. This did not let me down by any means. The exciting thing, though, is it's not over. Starting tomorrow on Monday, I will be doing watch parties all day long, all week long, as the European version of these FusionRL tournaments starts. And you better believe we'll be covering all of that information and more. again, you guys, I hope you like the video and you enjoy the content. And if you've made it this far, I greatly appreciate it. But if you guys do enjoy the video, it is always appreciated. Give the video a like. Make sure you comment with any questions, comments, concerns, and hit the subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any daily uploads in regards to Rocket League news. But that is going to do it for me. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. We'll catch you next time. Peace.